So hello, Anne. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Thank you for
Perfect.
joining us today. Anne is a fellow customer. She's somebody who's been using some of the products that we are all using, and I really thought it was important to be able to share her story. I've heard her tell her story several times, and I think one thing that's important is that everyone has some sort of a story to share in their life and how they've been impacted with these products. And so Anne is in Scottsdale, Arizona, a little warmer than where I am in Iowa. Anne, can you tell just a little bit about yourself and maybe what interested you in taking these because of your history and what caught your
Absolutely.
attention?
Absolutely. Well, a little bit of my background. I spent 20 years in medicine. And so I like to say that I'm a detriment to myself and a pain in the ass to the physicians because I tend to ask questions that most people don't. And so I come from a background of some genetic challenges. I was born with a rare genetic disorder that they're just now starting to come to the forefront. And so I always had all these little weird health issues that we now find fall under that same common illness. And I managed to, not knowing that how devastatingly hereditary it is, I managed to pass it on to my kids as well. But, I'm going along minding my own business and struggling with depression and anxiety, but just kind of figuring that that was just part of who I was going to be for the rest of my life, because I come from a long line of people that are clinically depressed. My sister lost her life to bipolar in 1996. My dad lost his life. He was a self-medicating depressed person. He lost his life at 38. So I felt like if I was going to make it to 40, I was gonna be great. So and I have surpassed that significantly, as you can tell. And so, but in 2014, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I had 16 months of treatment, which included 12 months of chemotherapy, 6 weeks of radiation, and 6 surgeries. And it wasn't an easy path. And one of the things that they share with you as you go on the fabulous USS survivorship is that you're a new you, the new me. Well, you're going to get used to the new me. Well, I couldn't get used to the new me because the new me could barely get out of bed because of medications that I was still taking. I had no energy. When they talk about chemo brain and people say, well, last week, no, it is a real thing. I could literally be in a conversation with you right at this moment and it would be gone. And it was so embarrassing. I would have to look at you and go, I am so sorry. What were we just talking about? And so I found myself becoming more and more reclusive. Then I made the choice to go ahead and take medication. The big deal is to get to the 5-year mark, and I'm not there yet. And so I have agreed to take this medication to kind of keep me above ground. I have a high recurrence rate. And because of the chemotherapy that I was given, I actually have an even higher rate of developing a cancer outside of the cancer I already have. So, I did some changes to try and support that. I try to follow a ketogenic lifestyle. I look for things, especially supplements that can benefit me. And I had begun to find one that was called something really weird, and it started with an X, but I began to investigate it, and I was intrigued. And so in November, I received a call from my good friend Kim, and she said, Sean and I are going to go look at this company, and they have this amazing coffee, and they have this other product that I have no idea what it is. And I'm like, coffee. I drink coffee. I know about coffee. If I drink too much on an empty stomach, I get the jitters, and then I get a headache, and then I feel like shit the rest of the. Oh, sorry, cuss like a sailor. I feel like shit the rest of the day, and so I was like, okay, but you know what? What else do they have? And when they sent me the xanthohumol, I went, okay, the universe seems to have been looking out for me, because that was the supplement I had begun to investigate. Because there have become, in the time that I started looking at it in PubMed, there were only about 250 articles about it. And that was in about July or August of last year. Now I think, and I haven't looked lately, but I think there's like 368 articles on the benefit of just this supplement in regards to cancer and other things, but mainly cancer, because one of the things that they know is that it destroys the tumor's ability to grow new blood supply. Well, that's what makes tumors grow and spread. They know that in a petri dish that it has been shown to decrease or eliminate the enzymes that cause the protein that causes metastases, so the spread of cancer. So to me, this seemed like something amazing to add to my already, growing supplement routine to try and keep myself alive and to keep cancer away. Because I'll be honest with you, cancer is probably the most devastating journey mentally, physically, and for us financially. It took our entire life savings to keep me above ground. And so I went reluctantly, got on a plane, reluctantly went and tried this coffee, and I hadn't eaten all day. And typically when I have coffee at the end of a day, it does not go well for Anne. It upsets my stomach, it gives me a terrible headache. But I had figured I'd spent 4 figures in 24 hours to get on this plane. What the heck, I'm going to try it. And so, I drink the coffee and they give us, this little pill to try. And within 15 minutes, and I had not eaten all day, I was kind of looking around the table at who, might be the best person to knock off down the hallway and cannibalize. I was so starving. And within 15 minutes, you couldn't have force fed me. And my stomach wasn't upset. It didn't give me a headache. I felt amazing. And then about 10 minutes later, this little pill kicked in, and I kept looking around the table at everybody like, is it just me, or are you guys all feeling what I'm feeling? And I have been a firm believer in these products ever since. But the part I wanted it for, what never really came back, was I had this constant ongoing brain fog. And I just never had gotten back to the energy level I was before. I'm a pretty energetic person, but it was almost a struggle to get out of bed every day. And that had never really gone away. And, people just basically told me I just needed to accept that was going to be the new me. And I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't believe that was going to be the new me. And so, just within a brief period of time, these products made such a dramatic change in my energy and in my mental fog. But what I just absolutely did not expect was, almost within less than 2 weeks, what I noticed was a significant change in my anxiety and depression. I had kind of gotten to a point where, I would pop my head up and everybody thought everything was great and wonderful. But the reality of it was, in the background, I wasn't leaving my house. And I was canceling appointments. I was finding myself becoming more and more housebound. And if it didn't have to do with taking care of my in-laws and my mom, because I'm their main caregivers, if it didn't have to do with that or a doctor's appointment for myself, I could barely leave the house. I mean, I hired a meal service so I didn't have to go to the grocery store. And that was real for me. And I noticed in this short period of time, oh my God, I almost feel like my old self again. Like I can get in my car and go to the grocery store. And so noticing something that, I had been treated for by, big pharma with no benefits for quite some time, to have this little cup of coffee and this little pill make more of a change in me than anything else I had done for the last 20 years was just off the charts for me. And so I actually did a little experiment. I also take care of my mom, and my mom's 83, and she's wheelchair dependent. And she had a very traumatic botched back surgery, so she lives in pain every single day. And I thought, if this worked for me, I wonder what it would do for her. But, she's 83, and sometimes getting her to try these things is a little more difficult. So I take care of all of her pills, and I go over to her house at least once a week and make sure that all her pills are taken care of. Put them in a little tray. And so I took some of the little pill with me, and I just happened to stick it in her morning dose of medications. And on day 2, and this isn't normal, on day 2, she called me and she said, I don't know what the new pill is the doctor gave me, but boy, does it make me feel good. And I said, well, what new pill are you talking about? And she said, well, I don't know. There's a new pill I'm taking every morning. And I said, okay, Mom, I'm going to confess, and this was horrible of me to do, but I've been sneaking a supplement in there that has made me feel amazing. And I just wanted to put it in there to see if you would notice a difference. So to have my mom call me after 2 days and go, I feel amazing, was just like a miracle. And so she had tried the coffee, took the whole dose instead of starting out small, and it didn't agree with her very well. So long story short, she has seen such a change in me that she said, you know what, I think I'd like to try that coffee again. And I'm just going to start adding just a little more, a little more, a little more. Well, you can't get my mom off of her happy coffee. She texts me, I'm having my happy coffee, I'm having my happy coffee. And so that's been very exciting. And, again, depression and anxiety, it comes with such a stigma. And, we don't talk about it, and we hide out. And, I spent a great deal of my young adult and adult life hiding out behind alcohol. I quit drinking in July of 1999, but that was what kept me going, was alcohol. And, to not have those cravings for anything like that, to not reach for things that, would stuff some of my feelings, food. Mm-hmm. Once I quit drinking, food became my comfort. And I ballooned up to nearly 200 pounds. And, it's been a blessing that I just don't have those cravings anymore. And unfortunately, depression and anxiety and those things are hereditary. And I've passed them on to my kids. And my daughter was going through a very, very challenging episode about December of last year. And I went into mother bear mode where, okay, let's get you to a psychotherapist. Let me see if I can find any facilities that we can get you in, because, her brother was convinced that she was suicidal. And I'm not sure that he was wrong. I'm honestly not sure he was wrong. And so I said to her, please just do me a favor. I don't know what this is going to do. It may not do anything for you, but will you at least just drink this coffee and take this pill until I can get things managed? Because of course, with our healthcare system, nothing happens quickly. And by day 4, she came to me and said, I don't think I need what I needed before. She said, I'm feeling amazing. And that was in 4 days. And, to fast forward now, and at that time, I thought she really was unemployable. She hadn't worked in a long time, and I didn't see anything that was going to be able to support where she was mentally. It was just going to be too difficult. And I can proudly say that she is an amazing teacher at an amazing school, that the president of the school called me on Friday and said, I just have to tell you, we had investors and other people come in and look at the school, and the classroom we took them to was your daughter's, because of just the impact that she is making on these kids. And many of these kids there are at-risk kids. And so I think it's been about 2 months ago, she came to us and said, I want you to know that I am in the best place I've been mentally in 6 years. 6
Wow.
years. And she goes, I owe it all to Xanthamax. And I was just stunned, you know, because she chooses not to use any pharmaceutical companies. She just believes that there are ways naturally to take care of these challenges. And there's no doubt in my mind that it is the Xanthamax on its own is unbelievably magical. And now she has started to titrate back onto the coffee because she recognizes that the two together are even better. But she just kind of had to go through that stage herself of just the Xanthamax, getting her anxiety and depression under control, that now she wants the energy and the mental cognition and all those other things that come with the coffee as well. And so it's just...
And I'm sure the serotonin boost in that beverage is probably helping her a bit.
Absolutely. So it's just been an interesting journey that if anybody had told me that a cup of coffee and this little pill would have changed my life completely, I would have told them they were nuts, because right now everybody in my family drinks the coffee or uses the product, including my husband. And my husband will not leave the house without it. And, you know, as he says, for him, we're general contractors. We have a commercial general contracting company. And if anybody who works for a living, there's all these little things that add up. And then when something big comes, you just blow up. Well, that was his MO. And so that wasn't happening anymore. And so I asked him, I said, okay, what are you feeling? And he said, you know, all those little things that become linked upsets. He goes, those things don't bother me anymore. So that when something big goes wrong, like they demo the wrong room of a house, he goes, you know, it just kind of slides off my back. And it's like, holy smokes, who is this person that I'm living with? But right. he will, if I don't lay out his pill every morning, he's like, where's my pill? Oh, yeah. I forgot to put it out. You know, so I'm just stunned that these products have this kind of impact. And I can't imagine anybody not wanting a little more happiness, a little more energy, a little more just feeling of well-being. There's so much negative crap out there. I quit looking at the news and stopped my subscription to the newspaper because I couldn't read it anymore. It would send me into such a dark place. And, you know, we all need a little more happiness. And with a little more happiness, we're all better people. We're all happier. We're kinder to other people. We smile more, you know, it's just magical.
Yeah. Who would have thought? I mean, energy, focus, brain fog, cancer survivor, depression, anxiety, and it's helping so many in your family. Isn't that crazy? Just from one thing. That's so great about your mom too.
I know. And I would have never guessed it in a million years. Never in a million years.
Well, thank you for sharing with everybody. I just love hearing testimonies, especially how it hasn't just impacted you. It's went through your family now, and right. They're going to start impacting people. That's just the power of it. So
exactly.
Anyway, thank you, Ian, for sharing with us. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me on.